DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 15-game slate here. It's a big one, and really, I mean, you got your high-price pitching options, but I think this is a slate that you can kind of spin wherever you want to go.
Definitely. Yeah, no, there's a lot. There's plenty of range of outcomes in terms of pitching. So I think there's plenty of ways to go, and obviously that trickles down to what you can do at hitters as well.
Yeah, definitely. And jumping right into catcher here, I still think Posey at 4,800 is overpriced
It's
for his upside.
very overpriced. I just can't do it. I just can't do it, man.
No, and looking at Wieters at 4,200, he's the guy who I kind of would rather spin up if I'm paying over 4K for.
Hey, nice mustache, loser.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Oh,
where's your Dr. Seuss hat? Did it go?
Nah, that was really bad. That's a really bad Dr. Seuss hat, to be honest. Sort of moving down here, we're looking at I'm looking at Evan Gattis 3,600 against Santiago. Obviously, you mentioned in the pitcher pod he's been home run prone, so I think that's a guy you can sort of target at catcher. But I'm not really down tonight to pay up for catcher.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of differ a little bit. What's paying up for you? I mean, over 35 or over 30?
For that 4K range.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. I think Wieters is kind of the only one who would only really work himself into an Orioles stack of some sort. Because I do like McCann at 38. I do like Martin at 36. Yes. Obviously, we're both big fans of really that Yankees game in general, overall, both sides. So,
yeah,
I think it's a good place to start. And but I'm with you. I think Gattis at 36 is intriguing. Outside of that, I mean, you can kind of spin lower. Some of these Diamondbacks bats are kind of cheap, so they're kind of intriguing in Estrada, who I think is going to have a pretty average start tonight.
Yeah, no, I definitely like Wellington Castillo, 2,900, or not Wellington Castillo, but whatever. Yeah, no, I think there are some decent options in that lineup, and I think the Oakland catcher, whoever they do decide to throw in there, if it's Vaught or Fagley, I think that's a decent option as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Those are kind of the cheaper options that I'm looking at. And then, of course, as always, if something pops up throughout the day, I mean, you can take a look at some guys down low if they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
for sure.
First base here, and I mean, we were talking about how hot Will Myers is right now, and it shows in his pricing. I mean, 5,500. We were talking about Wilson being actual not a guy to really look at as far as the Padres team, more so on the Padres bats, if anything. Both first basemen from that game are sort of pay-up options. For me, I like Encarnacion with how hot he's been.
Yes.
And the guy I'm using against Corbin.
Yeah, I think we roll with that Encarnacion-Donaldson pairing pretty much most nights now beyond really good pitching. So I think tonight's another night where you can just throw them in there and feel pretty confident about their floor, that one of them is going to, sort of average it out at the very least.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, there's actually a lot of lower first basemen that I like quite a bit. I mean, two guys that I'm fond of. I mean, Goldschmidt at 4,200 against Estrada. You're looking at Estrada. I mean, yes, he's been relatively tough on righties. But still, I mean, home run prone at the Rogers Center. It's a nice, friendly place to hit. And Joey Votto at 3,800 against Lewis is a nice price for him.
I'm digging that. 3,800 lefty versus righty. You got to like Votto there and his sort of ISO and WOBA against righties since 2015 and 2014. So you got to like that. As I mentioned, Chris Carter, sort of a nice tournament home run potential guy against Sonny Gray. So I think that's something you can kind of look at there.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Justin Bour's been hitting well as well. So get a friendly matchup against Bud Norris for some of those lefties there. Bour 345 in the last 10 games there. You look at Norris, I mean, since 2014, 358 WOBA allowed to lefties. Big home run potential for Bour there too.
For sure.
So I think really, I mean, there's a wide range of options. I mean, as far as cash teams go, I don't mind a Votto or a Bour if you're paying up on the hill.
Yeah, and if our optimizer favorite guy, Rob Ref Snyder, if he's in the lineup for the Yankees tonight, definitely someone you want to throw in there. He's obviously first and second eligible, so that might be something you want to look at for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He's been a good call. I mean, a guy who's been, around that double-digit range as far as DK points go. So I don't mind him. But, yeah, I mean, they've been rolling out punt option-wise for, last week and a half.
And truly, the optimizer always wins over time. That's just what I've learned. You don't go against the optimizer. Look at Justin Turner now. He's just mashing. So I think we just roll with him. He's definitely a guy that is popping up there quite a bit. So
yeah, definitely. And I think he's a guy I kind of rather use at second base.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Jumping right into second base here, you have Altuve up top, Kinsler up top, both in great spots, both facing lefties. Altuve still your preference there against Santiago?
That's close, actually. I'd say slightly, yes, just because of the extreme home run sort of potential from the pitcher, but it is close. So I do like Kinsler as well. Don't like Schwoop at 5,200. That's a little exaggerated for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, I kind of like these Texas bats against Descalfani. So no door at 4,500 is not a bad price tag. It is a decent drop down. And for me, I do prefer Altuve at 5,400. Hitting well, come off a 2-hit game with a homer last night, the day before. And overall, I mean, you're kind of looking at this option. I mean, there's a lot of guys cheaper that you can go with yet again. I mean, a Derek Dietrich at 3,700. A Devin Travis is certainly in play.
Right. And even Solarte isn't the worst news in that range. Profar, I think you like Dietrich to them in that range, but they're also in play. I'm not against the Cano Seager stack against Verlander. I think it could work out for you. I don't think you want a full stack or anything, but those two together I think could be a nice combo. And Cano is obviously relatively reasonably priced tonight, so decent option there.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're looking to spin down, you Starlin Castro at 3K, Brandon Phillips at 2,900, two intriguing options and two relatively going to be high scoring games. So
yeah,
those are two spin down options at really nice price tags.
And I think Gene Segura and Neil Walker, they're kind of in a range where I'm okay with the price. I'm okay with them. I'm okay with the pitcher, but the matchup it's not perfect by any means. So definitely just tournaments, or I guess if you're using Diamondbacks, stacking with them. But I don't really see them as standalone plays tonight, I guess.
Yeah, I don't mind Segura. I think Walker's kind of that guy who maybe it's more so if I'm looking to get a couple of Mets lefties in there against Kennedy. But yeah, I mean, I think I prefer Segura. But as you mentioned, I think one-off wise, it's not really in play for me. I'd rather kind of spin down even more.
Yeah.
Third base here, and I mean, up top, you got Josh Donaldson facing a lefty at home. Donaldson's been absolutely crushing the ball lately. He's a guy to look at. I mean, yes, there are other options, but I think, if you're paying up over 5K, I do think Donaldson's kind of my favorite option if you're going that route.
For sure. Yeah. Of the over 5K crowd in terms of the whole player pool, he's one of the main guys I'm looking at tonight for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the one thing, we talked about Colorado bets, and we haven't gotten really to any yet, but we did kick things off here with Nolan Arenado for a full grand less in Yankee Stadium. You look at Nova, I mean, going back since 2014, 356 WOBA, 1.68 home runs per nine to righties. Those are big numbers, and that's numbers that I find myself having a lot of Arenado shares tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And it helps that Bryant and Carpenter aren't in perfect matchups. They're obviously the more expensive options other than Donaldson tonight. So I like Arenado, second third baseman off the board for me. But there are some other interesting options here. Prado against Bud Norris. Again, I think the Marlins are in play tonight, obviously. So that's something to look at there. And then Valencia versus Jimmy Nelson, obviously also in play. So there are guys in that range, but yeah, Arenado definitely sticks out as a value there.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of going a little bit lower. I mean, You got A-Rod at 38,700. I don't mind him. You already mentioned Solarte. Todd Frazier at 3,600 is really intriguing because, yes, he's been very boomer bust this season, but going up against Buchholz at that price, I'll definitely toss in some shares there.
Oh, and let's throw out a shout out to Longoria. You were going at Josh Tomlin yesterday.
Yeah, but he's the only one. I freaking don't get it, man. He's so bad. He's not good.
But at least Longoria did it for you, so that's appreciated on your end, I'm sure.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just need a little more.
I hear you. Yeah, so Seager 3,600, I love that. And definitely someone I could see getting some nice contact off Verlander. So
I don't mind him, and I don't mind Beltray at 35 either.
For sure.
But outside of that, I don't see myself going any really any lower.
Yeah, there's not much down here.
No. Looking at shortstop, and once again, I think you're looking up top, and this is a spot for me to really kind of pay down at. I don't really like Villar in that matchup. I don't like Bogarts at 5,300 against Sale. Francisco Lindor and Trevor Story both at 4,100s, where I kind of kick things off at.
Yeah, especially Story. He was a good value last night, and I think he's once again someone you'd be willing to throw in there. So definitely looking at him against Nova. Carlos Correa against Santiago again. Yep. If you're looking at sort of Houston bats, and then I think you kind of go down from there. But yeah, those are some really solid options in that range, and it's not killing you on cap either.
No, Correa's going to be super chalky tonight, and that's just A-okay with me. I mean, 3,800 against a really home run prone lefty in Minute Maid is just something I'm all over.
Right. I mean, that's pretty much all you have to say for Correa, and then plug him in. So
yeah,
pretty simple there.
Tulowitzki, 3,600. I mean, getting a lefty at home there, coming off a really nice game in his last against Baltimore, where he hit a homer. He was a guy who was picking things up before he got injured. And I think, if that continues to stay, he'll be a definite option at that price tag.
Right, for sure.
But with Correa right there, it's kind of tough. But I think overall, they should kind of chip away at some of each other's ownership.
Yeah, and then in the bargain bin, Jordy Mercer against Cueto and Gregorio Superstar Pettit against Colin McHugh, 2,300. Hey, Pettit coming off a big home run game, baby.
God.
They're not really in play, but I always tend to go down there pretty much first and just check out the scene down there, see if anyone's just totally looked over in terms of the pricing, but not really much there. But anyway.
Yeah, I like a Cozart at 3,300. That's probably about as low as I'm going to go.
That's fair.
But, I mean, overall, I think we've talked about a lot of guys in that 3,500 to 4,300 range where you could be sitting tonight and it's not a bad option to just kind of go balanced.
Yeah, and if you go Sale, that should be a totally fine range to sit in throughout your entire lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at outfield here, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are priced up just due strictly to the matchup, which is it's nice to see. I mean, obviously, the Yankees outfield certainly in play, all three of them, Beltran, Gardner, and Ellsbury there. We were kind of liking Eaton at 4,900. Price tag's a little bit steep for me, but I think he's still in play.
That is expensive. Unfortunately, he is in play, but that's a tough price for him for sure.
He's only a guy that I'll throw in with the White Sox stack. He's not going to be a one-off for me because I like Cargo at the same price tag. He's just a guy I'm paying up for.
Right. Once you get over 4,500, you really want at least some home run upside, and I don't know how much he has.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's a lot of guys cheaper. I mean, you mentioned the Reds, Adam Duvall, Jay Bruce, 4,500. George Springer at 46, certainly in play tonight. So I think that's definitely a range you kind of stick with.
Right. I think Trumbo's in play. As I mentioned with Ryan Braun, I think he's in play as well. And then you sort of get into Charlie Blackmon.
Yeah, 4,100 is really nice for him.
Yeah, that's a really solid price for him.
So I think that's kind of where you're looking. And I mean, outside of that, I mean, you can spin down. I mean, obviously, Ellsbury 3,800 is a really nice price tag for him, that matchup. Um, you can keep going lower. I mean, hey, Giancarlo
Hey,
Stanton,
hey,
3,600. What are you going
I'm
to do
in.
about it?
Let's do it. Let's do it, guys. I'm in. Let's have some fun. Let's go. Dude, this is what we've been waiting for. Finally. Four hits, 4 games with a hit in a row. 5 of
Yeah,
his last 6.
and
Like,
he got
he's
that
back.
homer for you.
And he's back, man. He's back. So he's officially rosterable again. He's back on track. And I mean, if this is the beginning of a return to the mean, he's got a long way to go of some awesome games before this really evens out here. So I'm in. I think this could be a crazy stretch.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, I'm kind of hoping for him to get back on track, and obviously he's shown that over the last couple of games. And at that price tag, I mean, now you're still not taking a big chance on him.
Right, exactly. And Bud Norris. So
Yeah,
cha-ching.
yeah, that's nice. And, looking cheaper, I mean, Shin-Soo Choo, Noah Mazar, both really cheap. I mean, both great matchups against Desclafani, who's really been average against lefties, 354 WOBA allowed,
Yeah.
1.23 homes per nine. So I think both those guys are terrific values on today's slate.
Yeah, Justin Upton at 3,200 as well is a decent value there. So I think you could go with the regression to the mean group tonight
Yeah, I
with
think so
him and
too.
Stanton.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts about Nelson Cruz at 3,400? It's a nice price tag. I mean, obviously it's a tougher matchup with Verlander, but how do you feel about him?
I like Seager Cano more, but yeah, I could see that fitting in for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, I mean, you look at the Seattle team. I mean, it's a decent over under. Look at Verlander. I mean, he's obviously been solid this season, but not unbeatable.
Right.
So, as far as cheap punt plays go, I mean, once again, I don't see myself really needing a ton tonight, um, and really kind of going down low. I really don't see myself paying below 30 or 3K or 3,200. I think those Rangers guys are kind of in Upton is where it stops.
Not in the outfield. I don't think that's where you make your move for value tonight.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So that's going to wrap things up here with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out DaveFantasyCafe.com for all the great tools and content.